Om. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Krutau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavat Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Samasta Janakalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahmavitvaram Vasudev Vasutam Devam Kamsa Chanunamardhanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langhayate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Paramananda Madhavam. Om Shri Krishna Paramatmane Namaha. We are seeing Bhagavad Gita chapter 6. And chapter 6 is Dhyana Yoga, the yoga of meditation. This chapter requires a prerequisite of previous chapters, namely the understanding, a basic understanding of Vedanta from chapter 2, and the practical application of it in life as Karma Yoga of chapters 3, 4, and 5. And when we are somewhat mentally ready, we invoke meditation in our life. Meditation is a process through which we learn to examine the world in a different way. And it is a learned way of looking at the world. The knowledge of Vedanta gets assimilated in the seat of meditation. And when we assimilate Vedanta in living, it transforms us. It transforms us in our thoughts, number one. Our thoughts become richer. Our thoughts become nobler. Our thoughts become purer. Upon the transformation of our thoughts, our actions are now affected because our thoughts are more refined. Our actions become simpler. Our actions become transparent, and our actions reflect the nobility of the thoughts behind them. This is how the integration of thoughts and actions become more and more as we dive deeper and deeper into Vedanta. As we dive deeper and deeper into meditation. So that is what meditation does to us. We saw Bhagavan Krishna said that Prashantatma Vigatabhihi Brahmachari Vrate Stitaha Manassamyamya Matchittaha Yukta Asita Matparaha. In Shloka number 14, that is the fruit of meditation. Same thing was talked about in other chapters as well, but in meditation, prashantatma, mind becomes tranquil, quiet. And in that tranquil, quiet mind resonates divine thoughts, simpler thoughts, noble thoughts. All this is prashantatma, vigata bhihi. There's no fear. Why? Because there's transparency actually. Fear is of the unknown, but another reason why people fear is if they have something to hide. You know, if we speak untruth, then we have to remember what untruth we have spoken. And we have to guard it profusely so that burden of speaking untruth itself puts us into fear. What if somebody finds out? What if this? What if that? But on the other hand, when a person lives the life of Vedanta and integrates the equipment at thought, word, and deed, vigata bhihi, there's no fear. Complete transparency. Brahmachari vrate stitaha. Brahmachari vrata is none other than nobility at thought, word, and deed. That is brahmachari. A person is not doing anything ignoble at any level. That's brahmachari vrate stitaha manasamyamyam machittaha. That person becomes manasamyamya. We see the manasamyamya, complete control over the mind, complete apprehension over this mind is completely under one's own clutch, and the mind doesn't waver. Manasamyamya machittaha, and that mind is offered to me. Mat madeva chittaha. That mind is offered to me as none other than Krishna, me, the consciousness, me, the divinity. That mind is offered over here. Yukta asita matparaha. So that is what we saw in 14. And then 15, 16, 17, all that 15 again, Bhagavan Krishna talked about how Yunjanevam sadatmanam yogi niyatamanasa shantim nirvana parama matsamsthamati gacchati. Bhagavan says that this yogi, what happens to this yogi? Yunjanevam sadatmanam, continuously the person, Yunjan, they unite with me, Yunjan, Sada Atmanam, the mind is offered to the higher and higher and higher, the lower thoughts drop off, and Yogi Niyatamanasaha, the mind which is regulated, mind which is peaceful, mind which is taken to a higher thought process in living, such a person, Shantim Nirvanam. The absolute peace is what they go towards. And in this way, the person, Matsam Stham Adhigachati, the person attains me and me alone. And in case if one is not able to meditate, then 16 and 17, Bhagavan Krishna talked about improving one's own eating habits, sleeping habits, bringing everything in moderation. The one who eats too much cannot meditate. The one who eats little cannot meditate. The one who sleeps too much cannot meditate. So all these things, Bhagavan Krishna goes over in 16 and 17. So now from shloka number 18 onwards, Bhagavan Krishna from 18 to 32, this is the central theme of chapter 6. Very beautifully, Bhagavan now talks about the entire process of meditation and how it unites the entire personality. When we understand it, we will be able to put into practice. So, the nature of meditation, dhyanasya swarupam. The nature of meditation is now elaborated. Yada viniyatam chittam Atmanyevavatishthate Nispruha sarvakamebhyah Yukta ityuchyate tada. Bhagavan over here says, Yada viniyatam chittam. Chittam, mind. Viniyatam. Niyatam, it is brought under control. Viniyatam, it is completely brought under control. You know, the whole Vedanta boils down to how we take care of our mind. That's all Vedanta is. We don't even need to study these big textbooks. If we can somehow learn to work with our mind, control our mind, control its habits, and not tightly put a lid on it, but intelligently work with the mind. Because a mind is a living entity. It is not some jada vastu. It is not a jada object. It is a very subtle entity which we utilize as a jiva to transform, and in the process, the mind also gets transformed, because the jiva, the mind, the intellect are not all separate. It is all one and the same. It is called antakarana, the inner equipment. The jiva rides on the mind. So all of Vedanta really boils down to how we work with ourselves. And there are days when we do get upset. There are days when we lose, so to speak, the marbles in our mind. Yeah, it happens. But it is up to us to slowly work with ourselves and bring it into our control. No 2 days will be the same. Kathopanishad itself says, Yogo hi prabhavapyayo. The yoga of trying to work with yourself is the very process of ups and downs of the mind, and we will have to work with that. So over here, yada viniyatam chittam, when we have gained mastery, control over our mind, atmani avatishthate, and we are able to place the mind in atmani, in the capital S self, or at least lead it towards the higher. In this BMI chart, which I have right over here, the transcendental self, this Om is what we are referring to as Atmani Avatishthate, leading the mind up to this Om, leading this mind to the tranquil spot within, labeled as the absolute Om. That is our destination. What do we do with the quiet mind? We lead it to the resting place, its own abode, the divinity called Atmani, Atman, self. Atmani, in the self, eva avatishthate, when it comes to sit in it, nisfruha, spruha, none other than desires. Nisfruha, devoid of desires. The mind wobbles, the mind continuously shakes out of desires. I want this, I don't want this. I like this, I don't like this. So the mind works in these polar opposites of likes and dislikes, wants and rejects. All of these things. And all this will only come to an end in knowledge and understanding. Nothing we are going to take with us. Nothing we will be able to take with us. It's a sheer privilege to live a life. And to live a good life is a blessing. Blessings of gurus and devatas, to live a divine life without the pressure of vasanas expressing itself as desires. We run out of after clothing, we run after entertainment, we run after gadgets, we run after people, some situations, a name, some fame, some career, so many things we run after. These are all desires. Some are good desires, some are noble desires, some are ignoble desires. Even noble desires are chains, they are golden chains. Because they will bind us to a particular state. Swami Chinmayananji had a very noble desire. And the noble desire was to introduce Hinduism to Hindus. He said, I want to wake up Hindus to Hinduism. He told his guru. And his guru was the abode of Nisvruha. No desires. No desire to even teach Vedanta. And when the teaching was over, he told Chinmayananda, sit over here in Uttar Kashi. So, no, I want to go teach to others. And Taponji Maharaj is like, why? See, Taponji Maharaj, absolutely no desires. Chinmayananji, noble desires. But he was willing to be bound for 43 years working endlessly so that you and I can get a chance to learn scriptures. That's the job of a missionary. A job of a missionary is because there's a desire, a noble desire, yet it's a desire. Tapovanji Maharaj, absolutely free. Chinmayananji, free. But is also bound by the upadhi of the institution which he created. So people do, the reason why I bring this example is people ask, Swamiji, is it bad to have good desires? No, it's not, but then we should be willing to work with wherever our desires take us. So over here, the absolute transcendental requires us to be absolutely free of desires, even nobler desires. That's why nisvruha sarvakamebhyaha, all types of material sense gratifications, we should be completely devoid of this. It takes a while. It doesn't happen overnight. And especially all of us having our individual life, best we surrender to Bhagavan and allow Bhagavan to work on our antakarana. His blessings alone can wipe our desires out. For us to give them up, it's an uphill task. Very difficult. So, nisvruha sarvakamebhyaha yukta iti uchyate tada. Such a person is considered to be an integrated personality of body, mind, and intellect, ready for meditation where there are no desires. Because even if one desire is, when we sit down, that one desire will play in the courtyard of mind. And that mind cannot stay at the feet of Absolute. That one desire is enough to loot our meditation away from us. Thus it is said over here, nisvruha sarvakamebhyaha. Sarva, all types of desires. Does that mean that when I have all desires, I should not sit? No, that does not mean that. But if we truly want to benefit from absolute meditation, we will have to work with ourselves to rid ourselves of desires. Until then, we can take a sankalpa. Oh Lord, while I am seated in the seat of meditation, would you please help me keep my desires at bay? May I focus on you, O Bhagavan. That prayer goes a long way. And this is how prayers help before we do our meditation. Continuing, shloka number 6. Shloka number 20. 19, sorry. Yatha deepo nivatastha nengate sopama smruta yogino yata chittasya yunjato yogamatmanaha. An example now is given over here of the state of the mind of a yogi when the yogi sits for meditation. A beautiful example is given over here. It is saying yatha deepaha nivatastaha. Nivatastaha. Vata, wind, air. Nivata, where there is no wind, where there is no air. Deepaha, staha, a place where a lamp is placed where there is no wind. Just like a lamp which is placed in a place where there is no wind, na engate, it does not flutter, it does not move about. Engate, fluttering. Na engate, it does not flutter. If we put a lamp outside our door in the evening hours, during Deepavali time, people do that. And if the wind is there, and if the wind is very strong, the strong wind actually blows out the lamp. But if there is absolutely no wind, and if we place that lamp, and that lamp, when it is burning, and when it doesn't flicker at all, and the flame just is held erect, it can be deceiving. It may look like it's a fake lamp. So this example is given that just like a lamp which doesn't flutter where there is no wind, in the same way, yoginaha chittaha, the mind of a yogi is held straight, where the winds of desires does not flutter it. The mind flutters itar and titar out of the winds of desires within. It pushes the movement into the mind. Saha, over here, it is said, upama smruta. This is the comparison which is presented over here. Not the eating upama. The Sanskrit upama is over here, the comparison. So just like a lamp which is placed in the area where there is no wind, in the same way, a yogi's mind is placed where there are absolutely no desires fanning the mind. That yogi with that steady mind will be able to meditate. So that is what is talked about over here, Chitta Uparama. It is complete cessation of all types of desires which take over the mind. We have Shama, Dama, Uparati. So this is called Uparama. Sense control, mind control. So the senses from the outside, the sense objects cannot tempt the mind. The senses cannot tempt the mind to intermingle with the sense objects, nor are there any desires within the mind to push the mind towards a play in the field of sense objects utilizing the senses. The sense objects cannot do anything from the outside. The senses are not tempted neither by the objects from the outside nor by the desires from the inside. Swaswa golake sthapanam. Shankaracharya ji utilizes these words in Viveka Chudamani, that each senses are placed in the respective locus. Just like in the evening, the horses are brought to the stable and each horse is taken to its own respective chamber. In the same way, the carriage of the human body, led by the 5 horses of senses, are placed in their own respective stable so that mind stays where it is and none of the horses, none of the senses are intermingling with the world of objects. So each sense is placed away in its own respective locus, and when they are placed away, that mind is left alone, and that mind doesn't flicker like a lamp in a place where there is no wind. Such a yogi is capable of meditating. This is the example Bhagavan Krishna uses. What a beautiful example it is. When we understand the example, we are able to lead our mind to that place by the feet of Bhagavan, requesting, "O Lord, may there be, at least temporarily, no winds of passion to flicker my mind and usher it away from your presence. Let my mind stay at your feet, O Lord." This type of prayer allows us to at least put a temporary lid over our desires. This Yatha Deepo Nivatastha Na Engate Sopama Smrita Yogina Yatachittasya Yunjato Yogamatmanaha. And such a yogi, what does he do? Yunjataha. Now he can continuously unite yogam in the yoga of meditation, atmanaha, the absolute transcendental self, the yogi can meditate upon. "Oh Lord, may my mind stay over here." Transcendental for nirvikalpaka, Lord for savikalpaka. So you have to provide these things depending upon where we are in our own stage of evolution. This is, we are not competing with anyone, nor can we compete with anyone. Sadhana is very specific to the individual. Whatever steps they take, whatever practices they do, whichever mantra they utilize, whatever time of day they sit, all these are person specific. And that is what is mentioned over here. So a person, complete relaxation of the mind is completely withdrawn, it is completely at ease with Bhagavan or with the absolute abidance. And such a person over here is total withdrawal from all different types of desires, complete withdrawal from all distractions, and a person is able to enjoy meditation. Now, there are 7 definitions of samadhi. 7 definitions coming up in the upcoming 3 to 4 shlokas. So we will see why is this given, so that we ourselves can understand if we are progressing. Is not to see if somebody else is abiding in samadhi, because we can never figure that out. Our own spouse, our own child, no one. No matter how close of a relationship it is, we can only work with ourselves. And when we work with ourselves, we need to know where we are in our progress of meditation. So these are enumerated by Bhagavan to allow us to find out where we are in our seat of meditation, in our sadhana of meditation. Shloka number 20. Yatro paramate chittam niruddham yoga sevaya yatra chaivatmanatmanam pashyannatmani tishtati. So over here, Bhagavan is enumerating these 7 steps in this shloka. 2 are presented. So what are the 2 we will see? Yatra uparamet chittam. Yatra, there where in the seat of meditation. There in the seat of meditation, yatra uparamet. Uparamet, cessation. What cessation? Chittam. Complete cessation of mind. Why? Because now the mind is absorbed. If it is absolute, it is absorbed in the bliss of the self. And if it is savikalpaka samadhi, it is absorbed in the samadhi of Bhagavan. Imagine Meera in her meditation meeting Krishna. She's one with Krishna. Tyagaraja, in his kriti, he's delivered himself to Lord Rama. Purandara Das to Bhagavan Krishna, so on and so forth, each one of these devotees, they are finding their savikalpaka samadhi in the God consciousness of their chosen Ishtadevata. Or if it is a high level meditator going beyond savikalpaka samadhi, the person is absorbed in absolute bliss of the self, bliss of the absolute being, Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, Anandam Brahma. They have dissolved themselves in it. So, Yatra Uparamet Chittam. This is the first definition of samadhi, complete cessation of mind. First definition of samadhi. Yatro paramate chittam. And how did this chittam become completely absorbed? How did it completely come to cease itself? Niruddham yoga sevaya. Niruddham, out of initial control, and sevaya, sevaya by practice, continuous practice of meditation, complete restraint and practice of meditation, some amount of restraint and meditation, some amount of restraint, meditation. And there comes a point in time when the restraint becomes effortless, because the joy of meditation is so much that we easily give up the lower. This is what lures us into the seat of meditation. The samadhi with Bhagavan. Imagine your personal time with Bhagavan. We seek appointments with people in our life. So Savikalpaka Samadhi is the appointment that we have made with either Rama, Krishna, Shiva, Devi, whoever it is. And we do not want to be late for this appointment. Bhagavan is waiting for us. This is what the bhakta's mind is. And if Bhagavan is waiting, I am going to do my best to get into that samadhi to meet my Bhagavan. So, Niruddham Chitta, oh my mind, abide. Let us go meet our Bhagavan. So, there comes a point in time when we have done enough meditation, and when we are in the presence of divinity, we have tasted something greater that nothing lower can deliver to us. So, it is no longer Niruddham. It is called sannyas then. Samyak nyasaha, very well casted off, not required, thrown out of the window. So, yoga sevaya, by the practice of meditation, yatra yoga sevaya niruddham chittam uparamet. This is the prose order of that line. Yatra, there where, yoga sevaya, out of practice of meditation, niruddham chittam, that mind which has become controlled, what happens to that mind? Uparamet, it has become completely absorbed. First definition of samadhi. Okay, continuing. Yatra chaivatmanatmanam, yatra cha eva atmanam, atmana, atmanam, pashyati, atmani eva, tushyati cha. very beautifully over here. It is saying, yatra, in that seat of meditation, atmana, by effort of one's own pure mind, atmanam, the lower self, uh, pashyan, seeing, atmani, atmanam, the capital self, sorry, atmani, in the lower self, the higher self is seen. What is lower self? Mind. What is higher self? Bhagavan. So in the mind, in the seat of meditation, when in the mind Bhagavan is seen, so over here it is said when actually Bhagavan is seen. And what happens? What is the feeling once we see Bhagavan? Over here, Bhagavan Krishna says, Tushyati. Such a person becomes absolutely satisfied. They are so happy. There's no word in any language, in any dictionary, that gives us the kind of satisfaction that we derive out of seeing our own Ishta Devata or the Absolute Self. When in the seat of meditation, by our own self, the mind with its own self, within it, inside itself, the mind, it sees the higher self. And the higher self is Bhagavan. The mind sees Bhagavan within it. Bhagavan is not to be seen somewhere outside. Bhagavan is with us. So over here, Atmana, Atmanam, Atmani Pashyati. Atmana, by the mind. Atmanam, the self, which is Bhagavan. Atmani, in the mind itself. Pashyati, sees. Look at the word which is given, Pashyati, sees. Now, the sees is also actually realizes. But we have difficulty understanding realizing because we have not realized it yet. We've realized what the pain is of having cough. We've realized what the pain is of having a headache. Those we have realized because we have experience. But right now we have no experience of Bhagavan. So what are we going to say? So seeing, it's like seeing. We have seen a picture of Lord Rama, but imagine in the seat of meditation, we meet Rama. That is what is mentioned over here. So the first definition is complete absorption of the mind. Second definition is in the absorbed mind, we see absolute as absolute tranquility, absolute joy, or for the Savikalpaka, we experience Bhagavan. That is, Over here, pashyati, sees. And what happens after we see? Tushyati. This is complete satisfaction. Continuing shloka number 21, we see some more definitions over here. Sukham atyantikam yattad buddhigrahyamatīndriyam veti yatra na chaivayam stitaschanavalo astitas chalati tattvataha. So this is a very unique way in which it is presented. Sukham atyantikam. Atyantikam. Ati antikam. Complete, absolute, supreme, sukham, happiness. Absolute happiness. Sukhamatyantikam yat tat, that absolute happiness. And what is it? Buddhigrahya. It is captured by buddhi. But atindriyaha, it is not an object of the senses, because up to now, whatever the intellect has grabbed, it has grabbed via the medium of senses. I have this watch in my hand. You and I both see this watch. So my mind leaks out via my eye, comes to this watch, it completely pervades it, comes back in, and that mind, along with the information of the watch, it puts in front of the intellect. And the intellect takes all this kachra, analyzes it, and says, it is a watch. It is my watch. It is a Swiss watch and not a Timex watch. That means it is expensive. All this kachra, the intellect effortlessly adds on. We don't even realize. Every waking moment, with every object seen by our eye, information is placed by the mind in front of the buddhi, and the buddhi's job is to make sense of the world which the mind brings inside all the time, every waking second, and the buddhi examines it. It is like some X-ray machine on the inside, continuously trying to tell us what we are doing, how we are doing, what we are seeing, how we are seeing. Oh ho ho ho. It's a complex process. But over here, for the first time in the history of the intellect, it sits down in meditation. Eyes are closed, ears are closed, the nose is closed, all the five senses are in its own locus. And in the seat of meditation, mind is absorbed. So even mind is not there. But that alert buddhi sees Rama for the first time, and it doesn't know how it did it without senses. And the intellect is absolutely baffled that it saw something unmediated. All our knowledge is mediated knowledge. It is mediated with the sense objects, number one. Number two, the senses. Number three, the condition of the equipment mediates our knowledge, and then the buddhi sees. But over here, directly the intellect sees Bhagavan without any senses. Thus, it is qualified Sukham Atyantikam Yattada Buddhi Grahya. The intellect has understood. Intellect has grabbed Rama, but Atindriyaha, without senses. And that buddhi is stabda. It has never understood how this has happened. When we see God in meditation and the buddhi is dumbfounded and it oozes happiness beyond belief, because that is what God is. Atyantikam Sukham. When we put a pot of milk on a Pongal day on the stove and we allow the milk to spill over, how much can the milk spill? Milk can only spill for as much milk is there in the container. Anything more than that, it cannot spill because it is not there. So, in our daily life, the happiness that we get is the happiness which is trapped in that object and only in that object itself, and that's it. Not a drop more than happiness what that object can deliver, the buddhi can experience. But for the first time, there is no object and there is no container. And that infinite God appears. So the happiness is infinite. And it has never ever tasted infinite happiness because the senses are limited and the sense objects are limited. Thus, Atyantikam Sukham is put over here as a qualification. A buddhi cannot measure it because there is no tool to measure, there is no container to contain it. It is infinite. And that Stabda Buddhi, when it first experienced infinite Rama, or in Nirvikalpaka Samadhi, absolute, and like a bubble, the creation bursts. That intellect, when it sees an overflowing happiness, that is a state of samadhi. Bhagavan is described over here as Atyantikam Sukham. Buddhi Grahya Atindriya. Intellect has understood. So, the equipment of the intellect is required to realize, is what Bhagavan is saying. Without buddhi, you will never know you have realized. A dead person cannot realize. So, Jada Buddhi realizes Chetanatma. Something impossible is possible, what Bhagavan is saying. The Jada Buddhi will be able to taste the infinite bliss of Chaitanya, unmediated by the senses. Buddhi grahyam atindriya, atindriyam. Veti realizes, knows without a shadow of a doubt. Just like when I see this watch, there is no ambiguity. It sees, it sees, it sees. Veti yatra na chaivayam. Veti, it knows. Yatra nacha eva ayam stitaha chalati tattvataha. Now that the Buddhi has seen this Bhagavan, tasted the bliss of Bhagavan, you cannot make this Buddhi dance again. Having seen it, it will become silent. This Buddhi is not going to go in search for anything ever again. Gurudev used to say, causation hunting is the preoccupation of the Buddhi. Why? Why? You ask a little 6-year-old, beta, don't do this. He'll say, why, mummy? You ask a teenager, don't do it. He won't say why, but he will do it. What to do? Because of causation hunting is a preoccupation of the Buddhi. The Buddhi wants to know. The Buddhi is going to ask questions and the Buddhi is going to go in search for answers. But over here, having found this Bhagavan, this Buddhi is not going to look for a thing more than Bhagavan in this world. It has found that person when they come back into this world from Samadhi, they are changed. They want nothing of this world. They don't want to know anything. It may be a scientist. Hubble has discovered a new galaxy. Let it be. Stitas chalati tattvataha. Buddhi stitaha. Tattvataha. Abiding in it. So, this is the fourth definition of Samadhi. Buddhi's cause hunting is dropped. It will remain stabdha, complete absorption. I am taking more time. We will end our class over here. I have gone more. I am also absorbed in this pravachan. So we will continue next week. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramayah, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschit dukkha bhag bhavet. Om shanti shanti shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha.